Good morning, Rockingham and Dulles Falls, and welcome to The Feed. I'm Mike Smith. Today, Marty's off with her family, but she'll be joining us again next week. Today, we have Chad Illingworth. He's going to be with us, and we're going to be talking about the Terriers Hall of Fame. First, I'm going to cover for Marty and do a few local events. Thing to remember is the Bellows Falls Farmers Market is coming up this coming Friday. I don't know if anyone went last Friday, but it was really good. It was a good turnout. There were a lot of people there. They have music. They have fresh produce, fresh food. They have a dumpling vendor now who was phenomenal. I had a few dumplings, and they're cooking fresh pizzas on site. So if you get a chance, check out the Bellows Falls Farmers Market. They're going to have, I think they're having music every week, and they're going to have those two food vendors plus others as the year goes by. Very good. Tonight at 5:30 on Wednesday night here in Walpole is the annual Walpole Block Party. I don't know if people have been to that, but that's also a lot of fun. And the band tonight is going to be The Illusion with John Leware. The band is old folks doing old music. This band, The Illusion, actually formed in Springfield back in the 1960s, I think. It was John Leware's high school band. They've been together since then playing, and so they're really a treat to go see. And there's food and there's drink and there's things to do. So check out Walpole tonight at 5:30. The Bellows Falls Opera House is showing Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me tonight. So that's the classic movie. I'm not sure what the actual movie coming up is. They've been really on a roll with good movies. They had Jurassic Park is just finishing up, and they had Top Gun before that, so I'm not sure how they can follow that up, but it sounds like you should check it out. The other thing is the Wild Goose Players are opening Hamlet, I believe on the 25th, which is this weekend. It's going to be playing at Main Street Arts through most of the month of July, so check it out. It's Hamlet at Main Street Arts. But now we're going to talk to Chad. Hi, Chad. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Great.
Recuperating from alumni weekend, but I'm almost back to normal.
It was a great weekend.
Yes.
I mean, after 2 years of not having alumni, coming back and having it and having the enthusiasm and seeing the parades again was great. I want to thank you guys for doing all that work, because I know it's hardly any work at all.
No.
But I had, people who are in the know said it's one of the best organized events that they've ever been to. Not just
good.
So
we can come back to that, but we're here primarily. I was back here, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks ago. We talked about needing nominations for the Terriers Hall of Fame. So back in the beginning of June, we actually met, and we have selected our class. So we kind of wanted to reveal it a little bit on this. So we've selected 3 people to be elected into the Terriers Hall of Fame, which will happen September. We're not exactly sure on the date, but it's going to be in September, probably at the Legion, as we've done before. We're hoping we can open up tickets to everybody. Last year we did just friends and family of the inductees because of COVID. So we're hoping that we can open that up to the public at that point. But we'll go right into our first inductee. Our first inductee will be Billy Lockerby. Some people may know we lost him tragically early last year in a hunting accident. But when we looked at this, Billy lived a shorter life than what he would like, but the things that he did were just phenomenal. And what we strive to be is not just an athletic Hall of Fame. So we're more of a, what did you do for the community? What did you do for the kids growing up? Well, Billy was a 1991 BFUHS graduate. He was a star athlete in all 3 sports of football, baseball, and basketball. He was the captain for all those teams his senior year. And also he was elected to the Shrine Maple Sugar Bowl and played in that his senior year. He went on to AIC down in Springfield, Massachusetts, and played baseball for 4 years down there and had a stellar career. But where he really shined was he coached Legion baseball, whether he was assistant or the head coach, for 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So pretty sure that's an unpaid position. So he did that. I know he coached his son for maybe 2 years, but that means he coached that team and those kids for 13 years with not having a kid.
Right.
Did it for the love of the sport and for the love of those kids. He also coached Pee Wee football for way over 10 years. He was the head coach of the Packers. Again, coached his kid for a few years, but was there before and after, and just loved it. He loved the kids. I was lucky enough to officiate football in Pee Wee football and have him on the sidelines, and he just loved the kids. The kids loved him. And he also coached Purple Dogs, which is the middle school-based football team, for 2 years. So maybe a shorter lifespan, but what he did and the impact that he had on those kids were just amazing.
Great.
So our second member will be Sue Stack. Sue was a long-time member she was employed with the SU many years, worked for the superintendent, most of them. She's a class and a very active member of the class of 1973, which they'll be celebrating their 50th reunion next year. But Sue, and if you follow a little bit about Sue, if you follow her on Facebook, she is a terrier through in and throughout.
Really?
I mean, she has, I think, one of those fake Christmas trees, and she's got a purple one. And when it's terrier seat time, whether it be state championship, whether it be whatever, she's putting that up, she's posting it. But working with Sue, she has run the Legion dance for the alumni for as long as I know. And I've been involved with alumni probably since 94, 90, or 96, 97. You just ask her and she does it. She's not an officer.
Wow.
So she just does it, and she loves to do it. And so we know, okay, Sue's going to run this dance. You know, so she gets the snacks and all that and stuff like that. And I think you probably know her from Christmas time, spreading cheer as one of the elves.
Oh, really?
That go around town.
Yeah.
So she loves this community. She gives back to it at whatever it is. I don't think she knows the word no.
Wow.
So
good for her.
Sue's a great asset to this community. Our last is actually a couple. We usually do individuals, but this was nominated as a couple. Jack and Thelma Bronx. Some of you may know the name. Some of you may not know the name. We were talking a little bit before. I knew of the name when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know what they did until we went through this process. So
who nominated them?
Jane Barber nominated Jack and Thelma. And again, it's a community Hall of Fame. What have you done for the community? And some of the things they've done are just astounding. And I only have a small bit with me. They had about a 5-page letter.
Wow.
With just everything they've done, If anybody's familiar with the old Bells Falls swim team, they're the ones that started that and coached it from 1959 to 1970.
That's a long time.
It is. Then we all know the Skeeto, which has kind of been rejuvenated and all that.
Yeah.
They started that back in 1953. They were part of the committee that cut down the trees, put in the rope tow, and they remained on that committee and volunteer again for 24 years.
Wow.
They were the chair of the first ever Rockingham Recreation Committee. So before we have the rec up there, they're the ones that started it. What I was told in these meetings is they were the Rockingham Rec from the beginning. They also organized Old Home Days from 1978 to 1986. They held many seats in the Bells Falls Alumni Association, which is near and dear to my heart as well. And then the other thing that we were talking about, what I think was really cool, they chaired the local Fresh Air program. And if people don't know what the Fresh Air program was, is back in the day, they would bring inner city youth that, maybe at risk or whatever. They brought them up to the countryside, Bells Falls, Westminster, all this area, and they lived with families for, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And I remember being a kid, we had some people.
You had a Fresh Air,
but we also had friends. Like we would hang out and other families and stuff like that. So, and they're the ones that started that.
Wow.
And I really, the list could go further and further for all three of these individuals.
Yeah. So. Well, it's amazing to me, especially with the Bronx, because I'm really new compared to everyone else that's lived in Bells Falls for generations. But the context of the rec area and what it is now compared to what it must have been back in the
Right.
in the 60s and the 50s
Yep.
and even the 70s, because the high school wasn't there.
Yeah, and I remember we were talking about it. The football team. We have one of the best fields in the state at Hadley Field now. But they used to play where the outfield where the junior league baseball
Plays now.
plays now.
Yeah.
That's where they used to play football.
Yeah,
As high
and
school.
so they must have, that complex there must have been like where football teams practiced,
Oh,
where they, where everyone did everything. So the idea of putting the rope tow there
Yeah.
and having a pool with the
Yep.
swim team,
Yeah.
that's just
and
amazing.
they were. What my understanding is, they were the orchestras of that.
Yeah.
And it's taking shape now with a different building. For me, I remember the big old building that
Yeah,
we had
so
that
that's
they
what I
tore
remember
down.
too.
But like, they orchestrated that. They were the
That's-
first ones.
Yeah, that's really
So-
amazing. So quite a good group this year, huh?
Yeah. So again, we'll announce on Facebook and our webpage and all that. But we're looking at the beginning of September. We got to nail down the dates. What we would like to do is coordinate it with a football game. So we'll honor them at halftime of a football game.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And what we're looking to do this year, if we can, is do that on one day. We've always had a 2-day thing,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to try to do it to a 1-day thing, so families can, it's not a
They
2-day
can-
commitment,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
1-day commitment.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
and then have a ceremony later that night.
That's really cool. Good. Thank
yeah,
you. Another job well done.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. So, let's talk a little bit about alumni.
Alumni, yes.
Parade.
It was just, for me, it was a whirlwind week, 5, 6, 7 days. Like I said, I'm just
Yeah.
getting my bearings. I was lucky enough to have a daughter who graduated from the class of 2022.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that all started on Wednesday night. And I'll talk about it, but I told you before, I've been going to class nights for many years. We did Terriers Hall of Fame inductions at class nights. I sat there. I've given away my sister's scholarship, so I've been to about 30 or 40 class nights. And this was probably by far the best. And it wasn't about my daughter. It was about, I think it's Jimmy Ruggiero,
Yeah. And
whose son Vinny passed
Vincenzo,
away
yeah.
early. His freshman year, he would have been a member of the class of 2022. And to the surprise of the kids, there's a lot of kids that night that will sit there. We give out thousands and thousands of dollars in scholarships, but many kids sit there and don't get to go up on stage. They don't get an award. They
Yeah.
don't get a scholarship. And it was his determination that said, okay, first of all, we gave my son's scholarship out, which was like, I think, $4,000 to $6,000, right? To, I think two kids for $4,000. But then he gave everybody $50 in a certificate so that every kid would get something that night.
Huh.
And to me, the 30 some odd years I've seen class night, that was the most special, heartbreaking, and just memorable I've ever seen.
Yep.
So I want to thank him and his family for that generous.
Yeah, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, then we, obviously graduation, but we had the Waypoint dance,
Right.
which
yeah.
was a huge success. So people were able to, again, everything was back to normal as possible. We had the Waypoint dance, we had the Legion dance up there too at the same night. So
lots
some
of
people,
reunions.
yeah, Saturday night,
lots of
lots
them.
of reunions. We had three 50-year class reunions. So the class of 70, 71, and 72 all had reunions. And then Saturday, the parade, which is really the highlight of
Sunday
the weekend.
parade,
Sunday,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Sunday, the parade, the highlight of the weekend. Back to the floats that we've always had, 16 floats. We had, we had award winners. We had beautiful, like 72 did a nice float with all the state championships,
Yeah, that was really
because they were
good.
the first class of Bellows Falls Union High School.
Yeah, that's the other.
So that was kind of cool. And then we had the younger classes, like the 2020 and 2021, who hadn't been able to ever be in a parade, and they were just having a blast. And that's what it's all about, is having a lot of fun and just, come back more and more. And you hear everybody after, I've already got our float planned out for next year. We got this, we're going to, and some people
It
I'm like,
takes a lot
hey,
of
what are you going to
effort.
do? And they're like, I can't tell you yet.
Yeah, it
It's
takes
secret.
a lot of effort. Like those
So-
guys in 75 are crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they do, but their floats are
They
always
start,
just,
I think, tomorrow
I
for
think,
next year.
I was thinking they may have started last
They
year
might
for
have.
next year.
They might
Because
have.
they just really have some
I think I had
amazing
one
design.
class told me that they have more done for next year's float than they do for this year's float.
Because next year's a year for them,
I think
or is it an off year?
It's an off year, and this year was a reunion year for this class.
Ah, interesting.
And so they're like, okay, we're going to go slow, but next year we're going back.
Yeah.
It was a class of 2007. They won the last cup, which was 2 years
good.
ago.
Yeah.
So they took kind of a year off with a reunion, but they said we're coming back.
Oh, that's great.
We got more done for next year already. So,
but it's just amazing the enthusiasm that comes out. And they had people from the class of 1946 through the 2022 graduates.
We always have those. People want to be a part in. They ride in a car, convertible, bug, truck, whatever it might be, and we always want people to, those older classes, contact us, because we want people. We want this parade to be big. We want I chaperoned the class of 2022. I walked with them down the parade route, and there were huge crowds, which was good to see.
It was good to see. It was really neat. Well, for me, it was neat that they had the class that was the last class in the middle school and then the first class in the high school were both there, and they were right next to each other, and they were sort of like, it was really pretty cool.
It's kind of neat. You have that 72 as the last class, the first class in the Union High School, and this year's class was the 50th class out of the Union High School. So
really
a
neat.
lot of special numbers and meanings, and I know one person who was in the class of 72 has a granddaughter in the class of 22.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Nice. So. And I heard you chaperoned class or Project Grad, which is a great thing.
Yeah, they were lucky.
Does anyone not know what Project Grad is? For that?
Well, it's a big party. It's something that's been done for years. It's an overnight thing, and they haven't had it for years.
Yeah.
And it's a year-long fundraising effort by the senior class's parents, who try to fundraise as much as they can. And basically what they did was they were able to board a bus at 9:30 from the high school. They traveled to Claremont, went to the bowling alley, bowled for about an hour and a half.
I didn't know where it was.
Ate about 50 pizzas. I mean, those kids were, but again, they were up at the high school at 5:30 and they hadn't had anything to eat.
Right.
So they were starving because we had that nice parade around town for the seniors. And then, so they went there, and then around 11:30, they boarded the buses again and went over to the Claremont Rec Center, where they had a pool, basketball court.
Nice.
We had tons of food, but all of that fundraising helps is to rent those things. But then on top of that, they had a hypnotist come in.
Oh, neat.
We had black light volleyball. So in the basketball court, we turned off all the lights. And then everybody had glow-in-the-dark tape. They had black lights, and they were playing volleyball in the dark with all they could see was a ball and maybe the wrists and stuff like that. They had inflatable obstacle course, which that one kicked my butt.
Really?
So if you think of those big jump bouncy houses, well, they have the same things, but they're obstacle courses, and they're about 100 feet long, and you got to roll through it, and there's things, pylons that will come and hit you in the face, or you got to go up and over this, and then all that. And I've got challenged twice, lost twice.
Oh, is it a one-on-one?
Yeah. It's like a course, so two go at a time and see who comes out first. So it was, that kicked my butt too. The next day, my arms are a little sore. When you're 46, a little bit overweight and out of shape, it's.
That whole staying up all night and partying with 18-year-olds doesn't work.
Yeah, they had a nice little photo booth. So all that money that they raised, they had laser tag too inside the place too. So what they do is they stay there, and then they boarded a bus at 5:30 in the morning, and I only think maybe 2 people slept the whole night.
I'll bet.
And then they bus them to the Legion, and the Legion
fed them breakfast.
Nice. And then they all got gift cards to Allen Brothers and stuff like that.
Great.
And that was all from the money from the community, really, because it's the parents that fundraise, but it's the community, it's the individuals, it's the organizations that all chip in and give money or cook breakfast.
Right.
And all that.
And this sort of prevents that wild. It takes that energy of graduation and transfers it into a nice, safe,
non-alcoholic, supervised. And
I
will tell you this: the class was super well behaved. A lot of good kids. Nobody gave any chaperones, parents, any kind of crap.
Oh, that's great.
It was, they're well behaved. They're well behaved in the parade.
They were. Everyone was.
They were handing out candy and they loved it.
Yeah. That's just something that it's so refreshing that even after the years and that still came together really great.
And it's not having it 2 years, it reminds you how lucky we are and how much fun it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you don't want to get complacent.
So as we talked about alumni real quick, I want to thank the officers, and hopefully I won't forget anybody, but Stacy Reeve, who was the president, Heather Murphy Hicks was the parade chair, Murphy Hicks, her daughter was she did the dances, Karen Studley was our in-town dues, then we had Jessica Illingworth was she's our secretary, so she does all the mailings and all that. And then Darlene Kelly is our treasurer, and she does all the money. And with those group of individuals, that's how the weekend came across.
So we only have a couple minutes left, but is there anything you would say that the alumni association needs or wants that the community can help with?
We need volunteers. We need young blood. We need volunteers. So whether you're, we're not picky. I mean, we have what's called member at large. So we have people who go through the chairs, and that will be the officers. But we like to have members at large that just kind of pitch in here and there, and then they may say, "Hey, I'd like to go through the chairs. I'd like to do that." Yeah. But we need people at all these events. We have parade marshals that walk up and down with in like this year is a little tough because our normal people were involved because we had 3 years of nothing, so we had a lot of regular volunteers
that were in the
events,
I saw that.
and just wanted to if they ran the dance, if they sat at the table at the dance, they wanted to go to the dance because guess what? It was my 55th, or it was my So we always need volunteers. So
listen, Bellows Falls,
BellowsFallsAlumni.org has our emails on there, so you can email any of the officers. And there's the website.
Oh, great.
But email any of the officers. We'd love volunteers. It's not easy all the time, but it is rewarding.
Yeah. And I guess a shout out to the Gallagher Obahowski family for Marty was a judge. Megan was a judge. Yeah. Chelsea was in the parade.
She's at class. I won't tell me what they're building next year.
Oh,
I'll get it out of them sooner than later.
They seem excited. I saw they've been posting stuff. Yeah. Paul was in the parade, and then he's always singing at the meeting.
He is, yes. To use junior, now seniors now, he gets them. He has that passion. I don't know how many years in a row. I know I graduated in 94 and he did it then. I don't think he's missed a beat other than the 2 COVID years, but he's the one that sings the school song at the meeting.
Yeah. So anyway, a shout out to that
with
family.
Enthusiasm beyond belief.
And I'm sure there are other families that are just as involved. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, there are. I mean, there are. We've got Doug McPhee, he's our quote unquote official photographer.
Yes,
he takes all the pictures. The parades, all that kind of stuff.
He's a fountain of information too.
Oh,
I stood next to him for a while at the parade, and he just knew everybody and everything.
He does.
Yes, so it's great.
He has that history.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have.
Awesome.
I want to thank you, Chad, for coming on. And
thank you for having us. We'll probably meet again next year before Alumni and Hall of Fame.
Maybe there's something else that's happening. We can do a call for volunteers and see what's happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for this week on the feed. We'll see you next week. Bye, community.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. My dad.